Imagine coming home to the person you love, only to find out she's out laughing with her ex, while you sit there thinking she's 600 kilometers away with her family. My buddy didn't scream, he didn't cry. He just took a few pictures and started planning one of the coldest, most satisfying revenges I've ever heard of. And by the end of it, she was standing in an empty apartment, surrounded by her own lies. If you've ever been betrayed, if someone ever broke your trust and thought they'd get away with it, this story's for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in, because what starts as heartbreak ends with poetic justice. They'd been living together for nearly 2 years. My friend, let's call him Mark, wasn't rich, but he was loyal, caring, and steady. He loved quiet nights in, cooking together, watching shows, making plans for a small wedding someday. But lately, something felt off. You know that feeling when you sense someone's body is in the room, but their heart isn't? That was her, Claire. The laughter was gone, the warmth was gone. Even her texts felt colder. Arguments started over small things: toothpaste caps, dishes, who forgot to pay the electric bill. Nothing huge, but it felt like the foundation of their life was starting to crack. And then one Thursday, she said, "I think I just need some space, okay? I'm going to visit my parents for a week. They live about 600 kilometers away. Maybe that'll clear my head." Mark didn't fight it. He thought, maybe this is what we need. Maybe she'll come back refreshed. She left with a suitcase, a kiss on the cheek, and the promise to call when she arrived. But that call never came. 2 days later, Mark was out grabbing lunch with a coworker downtown. It was sunny, crowded. One of those days where you can't help but notice happy couples laughing over coffee. That's when he froze. Across the street, sitting at a small restaurant patio, was Claire. Not 600 kilometers away, not with her family, with her ex. She looked radiant, laughing, leaning across the table, touching the guy's hand the way she used to touch his. For a second, Mark's heart just stopped. His brain refused to believe what his eyes were seeing. But then reality hit. The ache in his chest turned cold. He didn't march across the street. He didn't make a scene. Instead, he calmly pulled out his phone. Click. One photo. Then another. Proof. He walked away, quietly, like a man who'd just made a decision he didn't need to announce. That night, he sat on the couch in the dark. No TV, no music, just silence, the kind that hums inside your head when your whole world shifts. He could have confronted her right then, but he didn't, because revenge, he decided, would taste better served cold. Mark was on a month-to-month lease, a flexible setup, but one that required 60 days' notice to move out. Claire? She wasn't even on the lease. That meant legally she had no claim to the apartment. So Mark gave his notice, quietly. He found a new place across town, and then he started planning. In the weeks that followed, he played it cool. When she came back from her family visit, he acted normal, distant. "I don't know, maybe later." There was no affection, no intimacy. She was always busy, out late, staying with friends, coming home the next morning, smelling like someone else's cologne. Mark noticed everything. But he said nothing. Inside, he was rehearsing every move of his plan. He even looped in his landlord, an older guy who'd known him for years and understood immediately. "You do what you need to do," the landlord said. "I'll keep quiet." Together, they timed everything perfectly. Whenever Claire was out with friends, the landlord would quietly bring by potential new tenants to view the place. Mark started packing the things that were his, slowly, subtly, things she wouldn't notice were missing. It was methodical, precise, like a chess game. And every day, Mark was one move closer to checkmate. Then came moving day. A Friday morning. Claire was still asleep when the doorbell rang. She stumbled out of bed to find 3 movers rolling in boxes, wrapping furniture, and unscrewing curtain rods. Excuse me, what's going on?" she stammered. Mark was standing by the kitchen counter, calm as ever, holding a manila folder. "Morning," he said softly. "We're moving." "What? Moving? You didn't tell me we were—" He slid the folder across the counter. Inside were printed photos. The ones he'd taken of her and her ex, laughing on that sunny patio. She went pale, speechless. "You said you were 600 kilometers away," Mark said. "Guess I got the math wrong." Before she could even reply, the landlord appeared at the door. He'd been waiting for this moment too. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "this unit's under a new lease now. You're not on it. You've got until midnight to remove your belongings. After that, whatever's left goes to the curb." Claire's face twisted, part shock, part rage, part pure panic. She looked around the room as if seeing it for the first time and realized almost everything inside was his. The couch, the bed, the dishes, the TV, all of it. By the end of the day, her things, the clothes, makeup, and a few personal items, were piled neatly in the center of the room. Mark took one final photo, a snapshot of the woman who betrayed him, standing beside a mountain of her own lies. Then he walked out. No yelling, no insults, just the quiet satisfaction of a man who'd taken back control. Later that night, she called, begging, crying, promising it meant nothing. Mark didn't pick up. He didn't block her either. He just let the phone ring again and again until it finally stopped. She tried showing up at his new place weeks later, but he'd moved on, literally and emotionally. Their friends heard bits of the story through the grapevine, but it was the ones close to Mark who knew the full, flawless plan. In our friend group, that story became legend, not because of drama or shouting, but because of how calmly he did it. No chaos, no revenge fueled by rage, just pure, icy justice. Some betrayals deserve noise, others deserve silence, and a perfect exit that leaves the cheater wondering how they lost everything without even realizing it. Mark didn't just move out of that apartment. He moved out of a relationship built on lies. And honestly, that's the best kind of revenge there is. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen. And if you love stories where karma hits just right, subscribe for more true tales of betrayal and justice. Because around here, we don't get even. We get clever.